Yes.
Oh, man. Look, many things, because all the time people will invite me somewhere and they'll say, oh, can you come and sing? And Esther, this awesome preacher, or this fantastic singer. And I'll think, oh, really? Am I? I can sing all right. But probably one of the biggest things is coming up. I'm speaking at Easter camp, which is run by the Baptist Youth Ministry, and there'll be a couple of thousand young people there. So I'll be speaking there. I've never spoken to a crowd of thousands, so that will be a challenge in and of itself. But one other thing was I was invited to be the guest speaker at a women's conference in Fiji. And most of the time when I'm invited to speak somewhere, it's with youth or young adults. When I went to this women's conference, I arrive and I walk into the room. And as I walk into the room, there are there's no one young there. It was this room filled with women who were as old as my mum and older. And in a Pacific Island culture, for someone that is young to be speaking and leading those that are older, that is counterculture.
Yeah.
It's not really what's done. Usually, it is the older men and women who are speaking. And so when I went back home to my own country, my own homeland, Fiji, and I walk into this room and there are these older women there, I was like, God, you need to move, and you need to move powerfully, because these women are older than me. They are more experienced. They probably know your word even better than I do. And so I got up and I had to preach about 4 times that weekend to this group of women, and it was, it was awesome. It was powerful. Not only did I get to speak to these women, but they asked me to pray with them and pray for them and minister to them and prophesy into their lives. So it was quite terrifying to come face to face with culture, with a cultural tradition, and then to break through it with God. And so it was a beautiful thing to see culture submit to God, and to submit to kingdom culture. So it was really cool. But one of the things that I'd heard from the heart of many of the older generation is that their hearts were breaking for their daughters and their granddaughters, because they didn't know and have relationship with Jesus the way their mothers and grandmothers did. And so there was this yearning for almost a generation lost. And as I would talk to them, they would say, they do come to church, but they don't have a relationship with Jesus. And so there was this desperation that was for a generation that knows of God, but doesn't necessarily know God and walk with Him. So that was probably one of the prevalent things, because what is prevalent in Fiji and what is prevalent in Tonga and these islands was Fijian culture, Tongan culture, and this is the way we do things. And what I suppose these women were saying was that culture has been great, and they do come along, but they were really yearning that their daughters and granddaughters would experience God in a real way.
What's in our own backyard that, hey, us as Christians, people of God, can help our younger generation?
If I can just put it simply, young people are just searching for truth. What they see when I talk to them is they will see me and they will say, oh, that's awesome. how just tell me how I can live life like you live life. And so, of course, then I tell them about Jesus and lead them to know Jesus in a real way. But some of the things that that they're yearning for is they're yearning for something to live for. They're at the moment they're living for the approval of their friends. They're living for popularity on social media. And so you have extreme behaviors with drugs and with alcohol. And when I look at that, I don't look at that and think, oh man, this generation of young people are lost in sin. I think that's a generation of young people who are searching. They're searching for the truth. They're searching for something that's going to change their lives in a powerful way. And at the moment, the world is shoving alcohol and drugs and social media, and all of it is just so readily available to them in the same way that the world just presents a certain way to live to these young people. What we do with the Revolution Tour, we say, oh man, this is real life, this is true life. And as they do that, they realize that those temporary things, temporary measures, certainly are temporary, but that God, a relationship with Jesus is something everyday and eternal.
As we near our time with you, what's your dream and hope for the nation of New Zealand and I suppose the world too?
One of my dreams is I want to actually produce artists. I want to produce musical artists who are able to have the character of someone who is following hard after God, but who is able to put out music that's going to be good for young people to hear, to be role models and examples of people who are following hard after God, but who are also getting number ones on the charts and stuff. And it's slowly happening. Last year, I released a single with a band in London called LZ7, and we actually got to number 7 on the New Zealand charts. So I was real excited about that. But what I was most excited about is I thought, man, God, if I can do that, I can also set a platform for other young people who love you to be able to put out some great music that's going to minister to non-Christians, some fantastic songs that's going to pierce people's hearts, and people are going to ask, oh man, what's different about this song? What's different about this artist? And they'll be able to say, well, it's Jesus. And so that's the long-term dream. I really want to produce artists, Christian artists on the secular scene. Music is an incredibly powerful tool. It's powerful, and it's singing something over a whole nation, over nations, over the radio waves, and because of that, the kind of music that we listen to and the kind of music that is popular music, it actually contributes to popular culture in a massive way. And so what I just want to do is I want to influence popular music so that it can be a godly music, and because it will influence music, it will influence culture. So, yeah.
Fantastic. That's awesome. What a great venture and dream. Look, last question, Esther. Is there a song that you'd like us to play, and why?
Yeah, I've been listening to the latest Young and Free album, and I love it because it's pumping, it's crazy, young people love it. And one of the songs is called "This Is Living," and it's just cool because the whole song just encapsulates that message that this is living. When you're living with God, man, this is living, and it's exciting, it's adventurous, and it's awesome. And so, yeah, if you have that song, I'd love to hear that song.